I think on the professional services and customer success side, our customers aren't ready to talk to chatbots all day long.
You treat AI almost like a junior resource on Team Andrea. So
Right. Yeah,
what do you think happens to the future of work?
I got to tell you, I'm definitely in the back nine of my career, and I'm glad that I am. I have talked to some CTOs who have been very direct in saying I'm never hiring a junior software developer again.
Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of the Launch Station. Today we have someone who's become a friend of mine, meeting a few times over the years. Incidentally, Andrea Mulligan, who's the guest on this show, also happens to have dabbled at building a PSA at some point of time. So very happy to have Andrea join us today. I'll do a little bit of an introduction. Andrea is the Chief Customer Officer at Fastr, and Fastr's mission is to empower business teams to move at the speed of change, do more with less, and replace complexity with powerful capabilities to analyze, create, and deliver experiences that grow their business. They have a SaaS platform, Fastr Workplace and Fastr Optimize, to give digital marketing and merchandisers unmatched control over their digital storefront. And Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sri. Excited to be here.
It's a great question.
Yeah. So the topic we're going to go into today is AI transformation in professional services, how to lead the charge from the front. And I specifically thought of this as the theme for today because when we were last chatting, Andrea was talking about what sort of experiments she was pushing the team to do, that she was personally doing, etc., at a gig she was at before. So super excited to chat more about all of this today, Andrea.
Yeah, me too. I don't think you can do a podcast these days and not actually talk about AI. So let's just jump on that bandwagon.
Awesome. I'm going to start with an icebreaker. Just, your take on the markets, on like the FANG companies or the AI bubble. Is there a bubble? Is there not? Anything related to, are you bullish, bearish on what's happening around you?
It's a great question. I think it's a little of both, right? So I've certainly seen some articles where people are saying, no, we're not in a bubble. It's not like the dot-com era. But I think when you have the Magnificent Seven spending so much money and 35% of their market cap or of the stock market, the S&P 500 being their market cap, I think we need to be a little bit concerned about that. I do think there's going to be winners and losers. I think that, just like the dot-com bubble, there will be companies that really learn how to embrace this technology and use this technology to transform how they're going to market, the problems they're solving, the value they deliver for customers. And then there are others that are just going to build some tools that may or may not add value, but aren't really companies that are solving big problems. So I think it's yet to see how it's going to shake out. But I am definitely bullish to say, as a professional services and customer success leader, there's only been so many tools in my toolbox to find scalability beyond hiring people for a team. And I think with the advent of AI, we now have an opportunity to figure out how to give the people we have more resources to do the work that they do for more customers, solving more problems, where now as a leader, my only tool in my toolbox isn't just hiring junior people who can help me do work at a lower cost. So I think it's game changing. I think we have to be, just really working toward figuring out how this is going to help professional services and customer success. And I think they're going to be winners and losers. So I'm expecting Fastr to be one of the winners.
Awesome. On the personal front, Andrea, again, little more of an icebreaker, just so people watching the show get to know you better. What do you believe is your superpower as a CCO?
You asked me that question before, and I hate that question just because it's really hard. Like I ask other people that question. When I was leaving my last gig, I actually asked my direct reports each, like, what are my superpowers? What should I bring with me to my next role? Some of the things that they shared with me are things like bringing a clear North Star to the organization, making it clear what is our mission, what is our purpose, why are we here. In customer success, we need to recognize in a SaaS organization, we're not a services company, we're a product company. And so, how do we leverage the services and the people in the services department to really help our customers get tremendous value from the product, which then in turn creates growth? And so, that idea of what is our purpose, what is our mission, and really articulating that and reinforcing that is one of the things that I strive to do for my team over and over again. I'm also very much a goal person. I set personal goals. I encourage others to set personal goals, and I drive the team to goals. So whether it's working with my customers to make sure that we understand their goals for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 18 months, and how we are going to support them, or whether it's setting goals internally to say, hey, at Fastr, I'm new to the organization. What am I seeing that's working? And what am I seeing that there's opportunity to invest and improve, and then setting specific goals that the team can really rally around and move forward. So I think that's probably the two things that I strive to do is just kind of clarity of mission and then a goal-oriented approach to getting things done. There's opportunity.
Yeah, I think especially customer success, it can be hard to, give one North Star and stick to it because, there are so many things typically a team is trying to do. Hey, is it retention? Is it NRR? Is it, there's always that mix of things. And then, giving clarity to the team can be a true superpower. So great to hear that.
And finding the balance, right? Because you need to be really strategically focusing on how to get value for the customer, but you also have to be very thoughtful and be a good steward of the business. And so when you're talking to individuals on the team, helping them understand how to find the balance, like what are the things that we should be doing that wow the heck about our customers, and how do we do that in a way that's profitable for our business, right? Because you need both to happen.
Perfect. I'm going to jump into our whole AI transformation theme. Going to start with leadership. Do you think how, like, the role you play as a leader or how you function as a leader, do you think that is changing and has to evolve in some way with what's happening around us with AI? If so, what's your learning so far on how leadership is going to change?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's going to change with leadership is just the way we talk to our teams about how they get their work done. Again, in past worlds, there'd be a lot of conversation about, what's our hiring plan for the year? Now, my conversation is more of how do we use this technology to allow us to do more with the team that we have? I think showing up to the team to demonstrate how you're using these tools is important as well. So I actually find myself doing more things that I may in the past have asked someone else on my team to own for me. I find myself doing it, as faster within, no pun intended, of course, within AI tools to be able to build some frameworks and accelerate how work gets done. I think leading by example is really important. So when it comes to AI, I'm in there exploring all the time. I've done things from just using it as a thought partner. I've built agents. I don't write software code, but I've got a couple of Python agents running in the background for some things that AI helped me write. I've even written a song and written a children's book. Neither will be published, but I've done it just to see what the technology is capable of doing, and really encouraging my team to do that as well. Look for those areas where you could get some acceleration by learning how to use the tools.
So it feels like you've had a fair amount of exploration in diverse areas in terms of how you're trying out AI. What's been, one or few of the big aha moments you've had while doing that?
Yeah, well, I think many people probably have experienced this too. I don't think I'm unique, but certainly in terms of the way I'm using the tools, I still need to be very, very cognizant of the fact that it's about as good as a junior member of the team. I have to be very thoughtful about how I frame my prompts, the questions I'm asking it. I mean, frankly, I never do a thought leadership exercise with AI without giving very detailed summaries of what I'm trying to do and really asking the AI, as I would a junior person on my team, what questions do you have for me before you get started? Even just getting to that level so that I can see how the AI is thinking about the problem I've put in front of them, making sure that I'm giving the right level of detail. And then once I get there, it can be a really quick back and forth. But that's what I would do if I had someone junior on my team, right? And likewise, when I get the results back, doing that quality check, making sure that it's accurate. Don't just assume that what the AI is telling you is right. It's not always right, just like a junior employee wouldn't be right. So I don't know if I'd call it an aha moment so much as just a reinforcement that as good as these tools are, certainly for the way I'm using them, there's still a lot of room
So,
of growth that they need to have, and they still very much need humans involved and using these tools in a way that's effective.
so
Got it. And as a leader, I'm sure there's always a lot on your plate. There's asks coming from other execs, and there's things to do. There's one-on-ones to have with your team. There's there's escalations to deal with. All of these things happening. How do you typically find time to experiment, play with AI? What's been your strategy to have those,
so
moments
Yeah.
carved out for yourself?
Honestly, I'm doing it in parallel with doing the work. So at any given time, I'm having a meeting like this, and there's AI running in the background, thinking for me or doing something for me. Um, so a lot of it is just I'm trying to solve a real problem or move the needle on something very specifically that's real and tangible, and I'm thinking in real time, how can AI help me with this? Rather than saying, "Geez, I'm going to block 2 to 4 on Thursday, and I'm just going to go play." I'm making real application of the tools. Um, in my past gig, it was a little bit different where we were just getting started and I didn't know anything. So at that point, it really was a little bit more of a, whether it was on a Saturday morning or at a quiet time, I tend to block my calendar for some strategic reserve time, using one of those moments to just say, let me go see what's different about how Claude responds to this question versus how ChatGPT does, or, let me take a LinkedIn Learning course to get a better understanding of prompting rules or what have you, right? So I did a bunch of that last year or the earlier part of this year. Now I'm at the point where I feel pretty confident about the power of the tools, and I'm just putting anything I can into the systems to see what comes out.
How you're leveraging AI changed in, let's say, the last 6 months? What's evolved? What's been interesting? What new stuff are you
Yeah.
playing around?
Well, I think early on I was kind of using AI as a kind of special search engine. So I didn't quite understand the prompting and the power of the answers that I could get back. And so it was really just, let me go ask Claude this question. Whereas now, as I said before, I'm really using Claude, that's my primary go-to tool, as a thought partner. So I probably have 20 projects right now in my Claude account for Fastr that are doing various things for me. I take the time to set up the rules for the project. So what are the things you are to look at? What are the things you are not to look at as my special helpful friend agent? Making sure that I'm capturing all the right documents, that I'm creating an environment where in this project there can be memory and I'm not always re-educating. I think another example is early on, I would use a Claude prompt to say, do a deep dive on a particular customer that I have a key meeting with. Well, now I have a Claude agent that can do that for me. And so I don't have to recreate my long prompt every single time. I can go into Visual Code Studio and or Visual Studio Code, whichever it's called, and just enter a command line that says customer name, individual name, role, industry, go. And it'll come back with a 10-page document summarizing that customer, what is happening in that customer's market, what their customers are saying about them, who are the key stakeholders I need to know. So, if I have a week of travel next week, I can get that prompt running multiple queries at the same time, creating these 10-page documents for me that I can then study and help myself prepare for customer meetings. It's really important for someone who's coming in as a new CCO into an established business that has hundreds of customers. It's going to be important that I show up to those meetings prepared. And that's an example of how I'm doing it in a way that I wasn't before, because I don't have to do it individually now. I can just set a little application and agent and say go.
Got it. And what do you see on your team? Do you see the same kind of enthusiasm from everyone on your team who also like they're building their own helper tools, they're, fully embracing AI, or do you see resistance? What's your strategy to take them
Yeah.
along the journey?
It's a little of both. I will say that I joined Fastr about 6 weeks ago, and as a company, we are very much an AI first company. We have a brilliant CTO who is a real leader, in my opinion, in terms of how we're leveraging AI to build product as well as in the product to create value for our customers. And so there's a culture within Fastr around how do we use these tools to be more effective, more efficient in the work we do. In my organization, I manage both our professional services teams and our customer success team. And I would say in our professional services team, I've got certain individuals who are really experimenting and using tools to do interesting things. One of my professional services departments provides custom software development projects to our customers, kind of building on top of the technology suite. And I've got one of my leaders in that organization building out a robust agent for project estimations so that we can leverage all the knowledge that we have through our time tracking solutions, through our Asana projects, for all the different things that we're doing, to be able to say, okay, I've got a project that looks like a project that I've done 6 times before. Let's go in and analyze the scope of work for this project against what we know from past work and put together an estimate that now a technical lead can evaluate. And so rather than the tech lead having to build the estimate, they can then use this tool to come up with the first pass, and then they can fine tune it based on the nuances that they know of this particular project. It also then will provide the ability to start to build, say, your QA test plans. So I've got a couple of people on the team that are really trying to use these tools to automate the aspects of their work that needs to get done, but maybe isn't the most fun for them. Let them focus on, working with agents to build really high quality code. And honestly, I have other folks who aren't quite there yet. And so it's just it's an evolution that we're trying to go through. And if I can find those leaders, and I've found a few that can really lead the charge and then show their peers how they're using it, while I also set the expectation that this is how we're going to grow and scale our business. Let's make sure everybody's investing time and setting that expectation on an individual level that you do need to learn how to use this technology. I've had people both in my past job and in this job where the services folks have been concerned about, is this going to be good enough? Do I trust that the output is going to be as good as it needs to be? And to that I say, go give it a shot. Take a project, and run something that on the side to see how good the quality is compared to what you would do yourself, and think about where there are places that you do feel comfortable to use it to accelerate what you can do.
Yeah, I think when you say there are people who do this, and you mentioned a leader who's playing around a little bit more with AI on the team. A meme that comes to mind is there's this like cartoon image where there's a war happening, and one side that's in focus has these bows and arrows, and they're shooting against the other side. There's someone trying to come and sell them cannons, and they're like, "Hey, can't you see we're busy?"
Right.
Right. And in a way, I feel like a PS team is typically in this war mode a lot of the time, because there's like you're behind on some deliverables, you're like too busy with life to pay attention to what can help you.
Right.
How do you save a team from that spot?
I think it all comes down to expectation setting. I really do. I mean, I think, we talk about PS teams. You and I have grown up in this world, right? A lot of organizations are still very much focused on billable hours, billable hours, billable hours. So if I were a professional services consultant, why in the world would I take a tool that makes me have to spend less time doing something if that directly affects how many billable hours I get and what my comp plan will be? Setting the right expectations and aligning the way you sell your services and the way you compensate your team for the services they deliver are really, really key. My aspiration is always to sell value-based services rather than time and materials type services. And if we can make that shift, and then we can educate the team on how this helps them build their skills, how it opens the door for them to do some other things that maybe they've been wanting to get to and they just haven't been able to because they are stuck on this hamster wheel of billable hour after billable hour. It comes down to expectation setting, and it comes down to the comp plans and what you tell them success is. If you tell them success is billable hours, why are they going to go look at cannons? I can spend more time shooting arrows and get more billable hours. But if you tell them that it's developing strategic customer relationships, delivering high value services to our customers, and doing so in a profitable way for the business, now all of a sudden you have an engine that needs to have these AI tools to really run well. At the end of the day, I need my customers to say, you wowed the hell out of me. The services I couldn't live without. And I need my finance team to say, you're running a profitable business. And AI, I believe, is a really critical tool to do that now that we didn't have before.
Yeah, totally. And the whole changing the way to evaluate the business, or the team, the function, makes so much sense. If things are changing the way they are, and there's obviously impact in various areas, the metrics you measure to understand how the team is doing. What do you see as happening to roles of people? Like, do you think junior roles are going to be scarce to find, given we're going to put more of these agents in place, the way you described it as well? Hey, you treat AI almost like a junior resource on Team Andrea. So
Right.
So
Yeah,
what do you think happens to the future of work?
I got to tell you, I'm definitely in the back nine of my career, and I'm glad that I am, because boy, I would not want to be a high school kid or a college kid thinking about my future and not know how these tools are going to impact what they do coming out of high school or college. I have talked to some CTOs who have been very direct in saying, I'm never hiring a junior software developer again. So what does that mean? If you're a young person and you're studying and thinking about your career, and you always thought, I want to be a software developer, and then you've got CTO saying, I'm never hiring a junior person again. Well, I think you need to think about what happens to the role. Those same CTOs I've talked to will say things like, the role of product management has to change. They have to not only be the idea people and understand the market and come up with what are the key capabilities that we need to deliver, the key problems we can solve, but they also need to be able to actually talk to AI to get those things in place. And so, I can envision a time where the PM and the software developer kind of merge into one role. That you still need those people, those humans thinking about the business problems to solve and the best ways to solve them, but then they can leverage the AI to actually implement the solution. I mean, at Fastr, we've recently launched our new product, the optimized platform, which you mentioned in your introduction. 8 months ago, that wasn't even an idea. But because of the way our engineering and product teams are using AI, we were able to go from idea, to a finished product to launching our first customers in about 6 or 7 months. That's remarkable. But what does that mean to hiring junior folks? I think on the professional services and customer success side, our customers aren't ready to talk to chatbots all day long. We need people that our customers can talk to, whether it's a support person when their hair's on fire, a strategist or a consultant to help them think through how to solve problems, a technologist to troubleshoot issues or to think about new ways of solving business problems through technology. I think it's going to be a while before we don't need those people. And I think it's going to be beholden on industry and colleges or high schools, the education system, to come together to say, how do we need to change the education system so that when someone's graduating 22 years old with a degree, they can then join an organization and be a productive member of that team, even though our today idea of junior is going to go away. I think there's just going to be a new definition of junior, and it's up to us to figure out what that looks like and then work with our partners in the educational system to do it. I don't have the answer yet, but it is something that I think about.
Got it. And again, when it comes to thinking about post-sale teams, the config of the team, um, the North Star for the team, I also wonder, given efficiencies coming in every department, we see it in a big way in customer support functions, right? Like everyone's Oracle, Salesforce, everyone's parted ways with tons of folks in that function. How do you think of like evolving the ambition and the North Star for a support team, a success team, a PS team, for a post-sale org overall? What's the vision you would typically lay out to say, okay, here's our new what we're trying to do in this evolving world?
Yeah, well, I mean, if take Fastr for example, I'm I think it's 7 weeks, 8 weeks into my time here, and I have shared with my team my view of our North Star, which is, we are here to deliver world-class services to our customers that wow them and impress them, that make them feel as though, as good as the Fastr product is, the services team really does like put us right over the edge to ensure that the customer is getting value. But as I said to you before, part of the mission statement is also making sure that we're delivering those world-class, wowable services in a profitable way for our business. We've got to be good stewards of the business. When I think about what that means in terms of day to day, leveraging these tools to get to answers faster for our customers, leveraging these tools to get to more accurate estimates in terms of the level of effort it's going to take us to get work done for them, leveraging these tools as agents that can help QA our work and protect us from ourselves. We are all very busy running around, and I think we all know that when a project is underway and it's running behind schedule, the first place that gets kind of truncated is QA, right? So these tools are there to help ensure that we are delivering world-class service to our customers and setting those expectations with our customers, or sorry, with the team. What that means kind of, when the rubber hits the road is, I'm looking for ways for my team as the experts around our product to be leading the charge in terms of content creation, thought leadership, etc., so that if at the end of the day, the fastest path to a customer getting the support they need is talking to a chatbot, that we have the right content in there that the chatbot can draw on. At my last gig, we built out an assistant that our customers use. Part of the intent was case deflection. But instead of, saying, geez, I need to add 3 people to my support team to be able to take all these calls, I then said, well, I need to add 1 person or 2 people to my knowledge management team to be able to ensure that we have a good volume of content going into the system. Even if you're using AI to create content, you can point AI at code and say, write me a help center article. You still need someone to kind of organize it and to have the sense of what your information architecture needs to look like and what content is needed. So the role just changes. Instead of being the one to answer the phone and answer the question, you're the one architecting what is needed so that AI can do that for you. So I think it's shifting roles and just keeping that focus on that North Star. How do we deliver world-class services to our customers in a profitable way for our business?
The example you gave about organizing the knowledge and the help center and so on takes me back to one thing you were sharing the last time we met, which was about the attempt to create a digital twin for, I think, Sharon on your team, who is a knowledge expert.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, what are some of these experiments that you all got started on, tried, which yielded good results? What were experiments that didn't, make it really?
Yeah, there were a couple of things during my last couple of months at my last gig that I worked on from an experimentation perspective. One of them, so we didn't do any real progress, make any real progress on my friend Sharon's twin. Happy to talk about what my vision was there, but it wasn't something that I prioritized before I left the company. But one of the things that I did was we had at my last gig we had a fairly long implementation process when a new customer signed up, and one of the aspects of the implementation would be to be building a tailored white label mobile application for our customers. And so we had our foundational code for our mobile app technology, and we could white label it for all of our customers. And even though it was white label, it would often take 4 to 6 weeks from the time we had our first meeting with a client to say, let's talk about what your mobile app needs to look like, to them getting their very first build that they can then respond to. 4 to 6 weeks, which was a really long time. And a big part of that 4 to 6 week time frame was the back and forth that happened between us and the client around the mockups. And so one of the things that I did, and again, I'm not a software developer. The last time I wrote real code was freshman year in college when I was required to take a computer science course. That was a very long time ago. I worked with Claude to help me build basically, and Lovable, I think, was the other solution, to help me build a mobile mockup system. So I went into the Claude and I said, this is my problem, right? I need to take something that takes 4 to 6 weeks and get it down to 2 or 3 hours, because I really felt that it could be that. I wanted to be a web-based mock-up tool. I had screenshots of what our mobile app screens look like. I put those into the project and I said, build me a drag and drop WYSIWYG mobile app mock-up creator tool that either my team can sit in one meeting with a client and build the mock-up for them, or I can just turn right over to the customers. And I got it myself. I got it about 80% of the way there. I turned it over to our product team and to our mobile app team that was in my organization. Full disclosure, I left. I don't know if they're getting a ton of value out of that yet. I hope they are, though, because I think that the experiment really did indicate that as long as the customer has all the assets, you could, in a very short time, a 1 hour meeting or less, build out the mockups together without all that back and forth. Let them take a PDF back to their leadership, get it approved, flip it over to our implementation team and get it implemented, and really truncate that down to a really small period of time. So that was one experiment. The other experiment that I worked on, and again, didn't complete, but I think the team did pick this one up after I left, was one of the challenges that we faced was between our sales team and our services teams, we had 100 people talking to customers at any given time. And we had things like Gong and other tools. We were recording calls and things like that. But we had different tools for different teams. So we had one team that was recording all their calls over Zoom. We had another team using Clary. We had another team using Gong. And when it's a hair on fire issue for a customer, I'm pretty confident that everyone on my team would raise their hand, go running to the executive or the product team or whomever to get the problem solved. What we weren't able to do, even with all these tools, was to, at the end of the week, really look back and say, what's the feedback we got from our customers or from the market? And how do we get that feedback into the right hands? How do we get the product feedback to our product management team? How do we get contract feedback to our sales and finance team? How do we get services related feedback to the chief customer officer or the right appropriate managers within that team? And so I partnered with our data science team to build a tool that allowed us to suck in all of these transcripts and recorded calls from these disparate systems into our Snowflake engine or instance, and then have AI run on top of that so that periodically an update would go out to the right groups based on what the feedback was. This came from we had a gentleman who was my partner in crime on the go-to-market team, moved from chief revenue officer to head of product. And in that, he came to me and said, how do I get better information about what the heck is going on with our product, with our customers, the feedback? And this is kind of what we came up with. So again, that was one of the things that we were building as I left the organization. And I really hope that they've been able to leverage it and use it for its purpose, which is really to get information faster to the right stakeholders.
Very interesting that you all spent time on this exercise, I wasn't aware. But we essentially built a very similar product. The productizing, it's one
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
part of our AI platform is listening into calls, integrating with call tools like Gong, etc. as well
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
create that account intelligence and cross account. How do I learn about like what's happening with issues or what signals to look out for leaders? So very cool.
Yeah. It's so important, right? If you've got a CSM who's got 50 or 100 accounts, their ability to really take all this information they're gathering and synthesize it into themes that span across customers, that's a really hard thing to do. And so if you can use AI to do that, you've now given that CSM a tool in their toolbox, you've given product a tool in their toolbox. You know, this stuff feels pretty game changing in terms of being able to get to the heart of the matter faster than we could do without these tools.
Interesting. And one more topic I wanted to bring up today was given like you worked in a company which got acquired by PE, and in my head, PE usually brings certain playbooks with them, but now I think the playbooks for the world are changing.
Mm-hmm.
How did that pan out? Uh, Whatever you can share, right? Like high level.
Yeah. Well, I think my time at my last gig and my time at this gig is all PE. So at my last gig, we were PE backed. And the PE firm that we worked with before the acquisition didn't really have that model of this is our playbook. We're just going to, every company we invest in, we're going to apply the playbook. They really let the leadership teams of their portfolio companies build out the frameworks and the models that were best suited for their business. However, they certainly did bring best practices and share experience across their portfolio customers. And it was probably about, so we were acquired in October of 2024. So probably about a year or so prior to that, where in board meetings, we would start to talk about how are you guys planning on using AI? What is your AI strategy? What is the approach that you're taking? The focus initially was how do we use AI in our engineering efforts to get velocity and scale in terms of our ability to launch products. So that experience was really about the technology and how to either build AI into the product, which frankly we had already done for about 7 years before. We had AI in our product before it was cool to talk about having AI in your product. I think but how do you build any product, and then how do you use it to build product? And that was really the focus during our time in that last year prior to the acquisition. When we were acquired by a large international group out of the UK that kind of functions a little bit more like a kind of the PE firm you talked about, right? Where they have this model, this set of tools and playbooks, and they just apply it to all the companies they purchase. And they were on fire about AI. And their expectation was, well, of course, your engineering team is going to do it, but so is every other part of the organization. And so the first thing they did was they set an expectation that those of us on the leadership team, we had to start using these tools. We had to start to experiment with these tools. We had to start to see where are the possibilities. And then we were just going to, from a top-down approach, we were asked to start to feed it into the organization. One of the things I talked to my team about was what we talked about before. If you're a solution consultant and you've got 15 customers you're managing, what would you use AI for? I don't know. Think about it. If you had an intern, what would you give the intern? Can you use AI to do that, right? And so both from a top-down perspective, we were getting pushed from our new owners to really adopt AI across the business. But then I looked for bottom-up ways to get people to think in a creative way about how they might use it. What are the repetitive tasks that need to get done, but maybe you don't have to be the one doing them. And geez, maybe a person doesn't have to do them. We can get intelligent automation to do them. What are the things you'd have an intern do for you if automation isn't possible, and grow it that way? And now at Fastr, we are also PE back there. And as I said, we've got a brilliant CTO who is really leading the charge in a lot of ways around the power of AI. And really our investment group is leaning on our CTO to take our learnings to the rest of the portfolio company. So I think, there's a lot of work we have to do to take the models that our CTO and his organization are running and then figure out how to run them in other parts of the organization. They are definitely out in front, but I think we've got the right support and infrastructure to make that transition.
Cool. We're close to the end of the episode. I think one thing will be good to hear from you is what advice you have for other leaders, CCOs, PS leaders listening into the show today.
It's just start using the tools yourself. If you're not figuring out how to use the tools yourself, you're going to be a little bit hamstrung in terms of your ability to set the expectations for the team. They're going to be looking for your direction. They're going to be looking for your leadership. And if you can show them what you're doing, it should make them feel more comfortable. I think that North Star is really important. Make sure you're setting really strong expectations around the power of these tools and why they need to be used. And I think as a PS industry, we need to think differently about this whole idea of billable hours and how we deliver value to customers, because I think we're going to be able to rapidly expand and increase the amount of value we can deliver without necessarily rapidly and expanding the number of hours we deliver.
Amazing. And I think, as you said, it does feel like once you are hands-on and you are experimenting with things, it's not just setting expectations with the team, but also knowing what to demand of them.
Right. Yep.
It's a very real thing when you're in the thick of it. I think your ability to guide them and expect the right things of them, expect more of them, so to speak, happens automatically.
Yeah, I agree. It's a new technology. We all have to understand it. And we're not going to be able to set good expectations with our team if we don't understand it. I don't need to be a software developer to manage professional services consultants who do software development, right? I've been in this work for 30 years. I get it. But this is a fundamental change to how work is getting done and how businesses are being run and how we deliver value. If we as leaders are not really internalizing this and learning it and figuring out how to use it for ourselves, we can't expect our teams to do the same.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, Andrea, for all the inputs and insights on the episode today. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Of course. Thank you, Shri. It's been wonderful. It's been a lot of fun.